And it turns out, if you really take a look at this slide, on the left side, it says those ladies that HER2 negative, and all those little squiggly lines are just doses of adriamycin. Patients who had HER2 positive disease. And you can see there's a big split between those slides. That's a big deal. And what it turns out to be is that if you take a look, if you look at all comers, you take a look at these anemic numbers, that there's a difference of 3% or 4% whether you use adriamycin or not. Doesn't really sound like a heck of a lot to me. It sounds awful pale. And you got some serious side effects. You can get secondary leukemia. And I think what we're talking about right now is that perhaps who really benefits? It turns out that there's another enzyme that helps in the structure and repair of DNA, known topo-2 isomerase. The patients who have HER2 positivity. Those are the patients who are going to benefit from adriamycin. And we right now have a pretty good idea. If you have normal HER2 not overly expressed, based type of therapy is probably not for you. It's not going to add anything, not going to subtract anything, but it probably doesn't add anything more. Well, this is a real good thing. But like a lot of good things, you got to be damn taken away. So can we omit adriamycin from people? Not yet. We found all this out retrospectively. That's like Monday morning quarterbacks. Yes, the Giants are going to win, the Jets are going to lose. Well, in that situation, you might not do with your Monday morning quarterback. That prospectively takes this out of commission. There was one small one done. It looked at AC and that's adriamycin Cytoxan versus Taxotere and Cytoxan. And guess what? Actually, we look at prospectively a whole host of different things and analyze the topo-2 isomerase enzyme, and we're going to get an answer if we can omit this incredible, terrible, tough drug for those who don't need it and tailor it and target it for those that would benefit from it. All right. My last set of slides is about something new. It's about now really understanding what cancer is about. It has to do with a host of different medicines that will function on a receptor, that HER2 receptor. And that's what we see on the surface of cancer cells, these little key holders. And in about 20 to 25% of all patients with breast cancer, this will be poorly expressed. There's some good news. It seems that now there may be techniques of understanding that there are at least another 10 or 20% of the ladies who are also sensitive to HER2 blockade, but we don't know it yet. And that is, there's a technique of looking at the genes and doing once more looking inside of the terrorist and finding out what their game plan really is. But one of the things that we have is that this overexpression of this type of receptor now can be used as a tool against the tumor. And this is now being done with medicines known as Herceptin, was the first used in patients who had metastatic or disease that had spread. And now being used very commonly in ladies whose disease has not spread more than perhaps their lymph nodes. And so to prevent this from happening. It's interesting, many tumors may have this. But we're still working on finding out whether or not they can be manipulated as well. This is the type of idea, the process that goes on. There's like the only way I can express it, that if you think about a cancer cell for a second, it's like a tennis ball. It's got all these fuzzy things on it. And if you really had a big microscope and you could look down right in it, those fuzzy things are these receptors that you see here, these little keyholes. And there's like this war that's going on between these little molecules and turning each other on and turning each other off. We're finally coming to the point where we've learned that HER2/neu is only one member of something known as the ERB family. There's at least 5 of these receptors. We can measure one. But we know we can manipulate the other 4. And this is becoming one of the biggest areas for not just breast cancer. That what this does into a cell, it looks like something like the New York City transit system. There are lines, there are side events, there are detours, but it all makes the cell either become immortal. That's why cancer cells are so bad. They don't have blood vessels, which is done by a receptor known as the ERB3 or VEGF receptor. We can manipulate this now. But ladies who have been on Herceptin know that unfortunately escape clauses here. Where's that Donald Trump wedding? I mean, you have escape clauses that you can get out of town. And what you really see here is that perhaps we can outsmart this. If you take there's a new medicine, its name is Tykerb. And instead of attacking the top of the cell where things are, it attacks where it's going inside of the cell, into another enzyme. Area to which we can prevent this type of resistance to Herceptin, and this new medicine is oral. All right, I want to thank you because I think art does teach me these things. That Dr. DeRisi, Dr. Sorter, all the physicians and nurses, Barbara, we all have hope and on the horizon. There'll be a better day for all of us tomorrow. I leave you with my last slide that I told you about. Marty Sasser is funny. But last week, a friend of mine invited me to go golfing. I was really stressed out. The office was like crazy. I had to go this week to lymphoma, myeloma meetings and give a lecture. I knew I had to do this today. So I go golfing. And on the third I hit this shot. But wait a minute, that's my point. It ain't good enough. It's not a hole in one. It's close. We're going to try to do. We need Ed's help of making certain that our government doesn't give up on you. We need certain that your fight is still newsworthy. We haven't hit that hole in one, but we're going to. Until that time comes, I need all of you. We'll do it together. Thanks so much.